Dr. Gaurav. Sure. So, hello all. Thank you everybody for being here today. Especially Dr. Gaurav and Dr. Alexandre that is gonna be getting in a few minutes. So today we are gonna have the honor to have Dr. Gaurav and Dr. Alexandre presenting a little bit about their experiences in grad school, what they did to get the most out of it, and how they got where they are now. So to get started, I would like to introduce Dr. Gaurav. So Dr. Gaurav is from Eastern India, graduated in agricultural science at Visva Bharati University, India. Received his master's degree in soil science from the Punjab Agricultural University, India. Has a PhD in plant and environmental science from the New Mexico State University. Was a postdoc research scholar in the Department of Land, Air, and Water Resources at the University of California, Davis. Worked as an assistant research professor in precision ag at Montana State University, and is currently working as an assistant professor in precision ag here at K-State. So now with the word, Dr. Gaurav.
Work. Oh, this is a cooler meeting that I have been in any meetings for the last 2 months. I think. We need to learn from the AGSA meetings and let Dr. Khosla know we need more pizza. Okay, so as a new faculty, you just sit down, listen to everyone, and try not to be too loud. But and I'm glad here there's no faculty and I can speak anything I want. So. But yeah, I think let's start with something that excites you about grad school or does not excite you about grad school. It's not a always happy experience, but it's a mixed experience. I have been through that, and I'm excited to be on this side of the table and see how you feel now about the grad school experiences you are having at your lab or anywhere else.
Exhausted.
Exhausting. What else?
Independent.
Independent. That's a strong one.
Creative.
Which year are you in, Chandua?
This is my end of third year.
Okay, that makes sense. What else? Any new master's student, PhD student?
Excited to see what's gonna happen in Curious.
Okay.
It's my third.
Excited, yeah. It's good to be curious and not know what you want to do.
Yeah, I was clueless for like 1 month full. Yeah.
Yes.
Traveling, I feel like to get to travel.
I did a lot. You have to see my fridge magnets. I just my fridge magnets are from conferences that I've traveled and just take time to and my advisor was super cool. So honestly, my journey was not easy, I would say. Not just I came to an advisor. When we apply from a different country, you're excited about the research and you just don't see what kind of environment it is, right? Like what lab you're going. You just are excited about the research. I mean, we all can do research. That's not nothing impossible here. We sit here in the Department of Agronomy at K-State. I had a lot of friends I looked upon. Oh my God, okay, I need to be, if I was a grad student there, but eventually I came here as a faculty and it's a great place to be in. What I would say is I came to an advisor, super toxic environment. Every morning he would walk at 8 a.m. If it was 8:05, coming to the office, it would be like, you need to come to my office. And every morning was a disaster. And I decided I'm going back to India. I'm not meant for PhD. So, but then I thought I don't want anyone else to suffer about it. So I went to the administration, they helped out. Eventually, I got 3 different positions, but it happened that my soil chemistry professor, her name is Dr. April O'Leary. If you have been to Soil Science Society of America, ASA, the lady with white hair, the old lady always smiling, or you'll see her emotionally crying about things. That was my advisor, and we even had like a lot of professional relationship, but also I personally bonded her. Even when I was moving, did you move properly? Are you doing okay? And things like that. That kind of advisor you want, that kind of research you want to be in. So, and when I see the environment here, I see all the happy faces. I'm not sure what's going on in your lives, but that's the environment you want to be in and not just being machined to doing all the research. So I would say I'm not going to be talking about how to do research. You all are great at it. I've seen you at Trices Studies Conference, judged a couple of posters last year, this year's, and I'm just going to talk about what cool things you can do to make your grad life experience. So I would say every experience is unique, right? Like when you see, every time I saw anyone's posters, I was like, oh my God, what the heck am I doing? And it was like, oh, that is a cool research. But believe me, like every step, you would not know how much you have achieved and where you have reached, like to the next step. The first step you are in, you're just knowing, for example, soil health lab, or let's talk about irrigation lab. What is water management? You're just learning, you're starting with that step. Going to the soil moisture sensor, what that is. A lot of people are doing it. That's nothing unique. But the steps that you are taking in, and when you reach to that, the topmost step, and the day you're defending, that's when you know all the complicated things you dealt with, not just with the research, but all the issues you dealt with in the lab. Not every member you would be comfortable with, not every student, but believe me, I mean, this is a GSA I think every other university should be inspired with. I'm not just saying because I'm here and talking to you. I mean, I literally felt like I'm sitting in like I was serving as a graduate senator, and this is the way they used to run. Like they had different committees and stuff, but that was the useless. I mean, sorry, but that was more of an administrative committees that would have, we were fighting on issues like how much hours should be given for somebody to be excused from meetings and things like that. But here you are dealing with more statistical things and things that are going to strengthen your knowledge. So I would say 4 C's you need to remember beyond your research, all the things you're doing: collaborate, communicate. You have to be consistent about things that you're doing, and just chill. So I'm not going to talk about myself all about it, but I'm originally from East India and did my bachelor's there, moved to Punjab, came to the United States, to New Mexico State University, worked with April. And then I worked as an agronomist while finishing up my PhD. In the last semester, I worked as an agronomist in a geoscience firm, which was a good experience. I wanted to learn more of how things look on a practical scenario, and then how it would be to translate some. So I worked on like federal water rights cases and things like that. But then I always wanted to be in academia, and I moved to postdoc at UC Davis and worked with another cool advisor who's, I have to share this, like when I asked about my annual evaluations, she said, no, you're doing great, but you need more vacation time. So you need an advisor who tells like that. You need more vacation time. You need some break if you're exhausted about it. So and then I did work as a precision and faculty in Montana State, and I'm continuing to work with UC Davis right now for my projects and grants that I had there. Now here at K-State, being a Wildcat. So talking about collaboration, I think some of the greatest things that happened during my PhD life was ability to collaborate. I was extremely diffident when I got from India. I didn't know how to communicate or how to approach a person. My advisor said, if you go to a conference, don't stick at me, only like for an hour, you'll stick around me. I'll introduce you to people, and then you have to do your thing. I said, okay. And I was nervous, and all I did was started making collaborations, and some of the best collaborations in terms of papers, research proposals, extension activities happen at the Tri-Societies conferences that I went to. So how you do that is, one, identify a unique, diverse, and understanding committee members for your PhD. If that's one of the important. So I would say when I started my PhD, I took a lot of courses, worked with some of the smartest professors, and wanted all of them in my committee. I go to my advisor, ask her, can I have this person in committee? And then you need to understand the working compatibility. It's not you are working by yourself, but you are forming a team, and the committee is literally a team of people working. You just don't want a committee who reads your thesis at the end, a day before your exam, and it's done. You need somebody who can strengthen or help diversify your research. For example, if you're working in irrigation management, water management, you want some aspects of cropping systems in that. Or what are your interests? So I have to confess here, I was not precision agriculturist right from the beginning or any of my training. My advisor was a hardcore soil chemist. I was interested in proximal sensing and geostatistics. So what she did was connect me to all the great sources that I needed to go on with. So I worked with a geostatistician in my committee, proximal sensors in my committee. So if you read my papers, you'll find a blend of chemistry, soil chemistry, as well as proximal sensing and geostatistics. But I think that was the biggest thing that I got from her, just diversifying my arena. Because when you're coming as a faculty, or I mean, if I look into all of these people, my advisor used to introduce to a lot of the Chuck, Ganga, all of these people, and I looked upon to them, oh my God, these are amazing people. But as long as you diversify your experience, you're not working on just one research, but having and strengthening your skill sets, you are good to go for academic positions. And I think that's what they look upon. One thing I would love, and you're already doing a lot of these things. If there's an idea in your mind, right? Just share that with your friend. Hey, I have this idea. I want to write a paper on how UAVs work for alcohol. For example, understanding the soil microbial population. Just share that. If the person said, hey, that's a stupid idea, I don't think that's, then discuss what could strengthen that. Write a review article. You don't have to do it in a month or so, do it like maybe a year long. One review article is gonna add something to your publication. Plus, that's also adding your area to explore different techniques or different strategies that are already being done. I do see a lot of activities going on, meta-analysis, systemic review. I started too late in my, with this idea. I had 3 postdoc friends when I went to UC Davis. I just bumped into them. Hey, do you want to write a paper together? We just started writing. We finished like 4 or 5 months. We would finish one paper kind of a thing. Everyone wrote a section, one person would lead it, and we had like common interest. We all compiled that. The lead person would compile it, and we published 3 papers in a year. That was, that's when this is the time you would do is, I would say once you get into a faculty position, all I do is get into meetings, and I don't know how my day just gets over. So, and what do? You have a great environment, a good lab environment. Like there are big teams in your lab here. So that's great. You talk about just specific things that is part of your lab. You love KSU agronomists being in the department, right? But what you need to do is step out of the department. A lot of you, I see so many active participation in a lot of international students participating in activities around a lot of presentations in Grad. So you need to collaborate with not like agronomists. We need computer scientists in our research. We need statisticians in our research. So you're already doing it. I just wanted to emphasize it. Diversifying those interdisciplinary roles are important. And if I am talking too much, please, if I'm taking over the time, just let me know and I'll stop. It's just. So another thing is communicate. Can I change? Okay. Yes. Okay. So you know how to talk. I've seen you talking about different presentations, posters. I think K-State was very well represented. After, I think last ASA, right, or SSSA meeting, I think I accepted the job offer and I'm excited to see everything purple around at the poster session. So you already know how to talk, how to present. I've seen some of the 3-minute thesis competition and everything was going on. But you need to know when you're talking about, once you step out of the door of agronomy, you're talking to aliens. You say 50 parts per million, right, Chandrima? Or any soil chemist, anyone? It doesn't make sense. So when I was working with the Navajo Nation, the first meeting I talked, and I don't know what I talked, their reaction was like, it felt like everyone is super angry at me. And like, immediately the situation just turned extremely political and my advisor had to deal with all that thing. But that's how I learned how I need to. So we use parts per million. We had to use, there was no choice. But the way I simplified it was, so in Navajo Nation, they still have barrels of water. They fill in water and kind of bring it back to the home. That's how the reservations kind of work still. So I went out and I started interacting with community. That trust building is most important. So I used an example, like one drop in like 50 barrels of water. That was the example of parts per million. or this is the amount of like metal or element you would have that's being read in my instrument or sensor. So simplifying your science is important. Whatever you say, it might make sense to me. Or if I'm low on coffee, I would say yes, 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 and okay, done. And I don't understand what you say. So try to simplify those things when you're talking. Try to talk when you're presenting your talk. Try to practice with somebody who is not into your field. And you step out of the door, there needs to be a 3-minute thesis thing. I think that's a great way to expose your research and simplify something to all the non-jargony audience outside the Department of Agronomy. And another thing, half the time during a PhD, at least for you deal with, okay, I would stand outside the door. Is she in a good mood? Shall I go in? Is she in a bad mood? No. Should it be 7 a.m. in the morning or should it be 5 in the morning? So half the time we deal with like advisors and the grumpy person who might be dealing with other things in their offices and how you talk to them. So that's also part of your training. I would say whatever it is, go communicate. Even if your research fails, communicate. That's the science you are bringing on the table. If that person would be doing the same thing, it would be a failure for them too. So what you are being trained is almost coming to the same level. Nobody is a hilarious scientist here. We all work on some areas, some skill sets. If you ask me something, I have just specific domain. But I'm hiring students or I'm having my team build up in a way that like kind of integrates an interdisciplinary research. And it's not just your advisor is training you, you are training your advisor as well. So the skill sets that you are being hired on, your advisor proposed or pitched an idea, and you were selected to do that research because you have those strong skill sets to do it. So I would say just you are reinventing the wheel and also answering the questions. Don't be a student, be a peer to them and like just discuss it that way. Also, that's for formal mentor, advisor, great. Have some mentors. I always with Tri-Societies, I had a mentor from University of Arizona, and we are still in touch, and we ended up doing a lot of extension events together. So have some mentors, and Tri-Societies have a very good program. Other societies have a very good program for mentorship. Try to identify a mentor who's not in K-State or not linked to K-State somewhere out of the world. Write everything. There are millions of things that are going to happen and you'll forget about it. So write everything. Even if you break a glass, just write that down, right? Like you would not know what just happened 2 years ago in your PhD or 1 year ago in your master's. So, and that is literally your discussion. Even if you have a failed experiment, that's your discussion you're going to bring on the table. First time I went to the meeting, what I did was I collected a bunch of business cards and I don't know how to deal with it. Then I came back because my advisor told to collaborate and network, and I did just collect it. Came back, I don't know who to contact. What everyone else is doing. So then I decided in the next meeting when I go, I would have at least one good connection. If that is done, I'm done. I'm not networking anymore. I'll just talk to many people. If it comes out, if it goes well, it goes well. Some of the collaborations that came out of I used to go to Tri-Societies meeting. That's what my advisor used to. That's why I'm talking so much about it. So Texas Tech University, I went for internship after the meeting. We published some papers, initiated some collaboration in India through Texas Tech University professor, and we kind of did some data analytics part of fluorescence spectrometry. University of Arizona, I worked with Carletta, whom I met at the New Mexico Environment Department conference, did some extension events. And Emory University, I'm still writing grants. We have published some papers. My fun projects were supported by my collaborators at Emory. So I mean, any 1 or 2 connections, if you bring back from a conference, I think that's more than enough because you're not going to, world is huge and you're not going to follow with everyone out there. And then we are scientists, we believe in evidence. You'll say something, I'll believe it. That's not going to happen. So just try to, if you're doing something, extension event, activities, put that in more like an extension draft. You're spending a lot of time preparing for an extension event, right? Why not just put up like a fact sheet? That is more of an evidence of your extension participation. For research, if you're doing something, if you're collaborating with somebody, why not just put it in a paper? If you're going for a training, skill sets. I mean, it's easy to not easy, but it's easy to initiate something and keep it moving. You don't have to get it published right when you graduate. Keep the ball rolling, keep those connections going. That's what is gonna help you out to build community, collaborators. How many of you want to go in academic world? How many industry? Academia? 1, 2, okay. Again, it's when we come to an academic job or wherever we are literally entrepreneurs. You're small, having your own small business to initiate with, and you need to know how to bring dollars. There are so many grants. While doing my PhD, I had not a lot of advisors would support you or want you to be diverted into a proposal, but I would say it's a good idea because when I was doing my research, there were so many ideas that diverged out. How if I do this? How if I do this? So out of that, I got 2 proposals as a student PI. I mean, money would still be handled by the advisors, but you can still be the PI, student PI for those. So these are some of the examples. There are many, many opportunities for writing proposals. SARE is a good one to hit. They have some, if you have a research extension and outreach component, SARE is a good one to hit. Meter Group, if you're working with sensors and stuff, Meter funds like $10,000 for your sensor, and they provide a lot of good toys to play around with your research. If you're supporting your advisor in writing a proposal, make sure to let them know that about your contribution and that you're putting that in your CV. In brackets, you would be an unlisted collaborator in that. So if you have written a proposal or helped to write a proposal, any section of it, make sure that goes into your CV because that's going to take you to a long run. And honestly, it's good whether you want to go to academia or industry, those are the evidence of you bringing money on the plate. I used to go to New Mexico State University Teaching Academy a lot. I did some workshop. I hosted workshop with some professors. And then this is a great resource. I realized very, very analogous to what I had there. And you can use some of their workshops to strengthen your teaching skills. That allows you to communicate. I do a lot of these events in my class, like 3-minute thing, 3 things that you learned from today's class, wrapping up or reviewing things in the class or flip the classroom kind of a thing. So those are some of the techniques you learn, which nobody is going to talk about in their lectures or some things. So it's always good to talk, make it more interactive. And then I would say it's not a fun experience all the time. It's okay to stress about things. I mean, if you're stressing about things, that means you're on a right track of a grad school. So it's okay to move in circles. You don't know, like it's just going on, doing something, results are not coming. I keep hearing a lot about this, but believe me, like any mistakes, any failures you have, that's just at the end. It's just a puzzle piece that's come together, and it's just going to solve all the problems you're having during all these years. I followed this book a lot. The professor is in. I would say it's good if you're going into academic world, great, but this is also a good book to know how to negotiate. I use that a lot to negotiate my startup package, my salary here at K-State with other things. So this is a good book that trains you to write your curriculum, CV, to statement of purpose, and other things like that you need to navigate the academic journey. It's a very good book, and I am happy to help you. If you love coffee, that's the door you need to knock, and I'll be happy to walk with you with that. And with that, I think I'm happy to answer any questions if you have, or get out of here.
Questions? Or maybe we can leave all the questions to the end and then we talk between everybody, among everybody. So thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah. That's a great presentation. So now, Dr. Alexandre, thank you for taking the time also to be here with us. I'd like to introduce you to get started. So Alexandre is from South Brazil, graduated in agronomy at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, received his master's degree in soil science here at K-State, and his PhD at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, was a postdoc research associate at University of Wisconsin-Madison, worked as an agronomist at Voir Agro, is the co-founder of the podcast and YouTube channel AgroConnection, and is currently the Learning Center Agronomist at Bayer Crop Science. And I would like to pass the word to you, Dr. Alexandre, and
Sounds
sadly,
good.
we're not here for the pizzas.
Yeah, I was telling Giovanni that I missed the pizza time when during the HSA meetings. It was always good to interact with students there. I miss my time at K-State. So thanks for the introduction, Giovanni. I can see almost everyone in the room. You guys have a full house there, and I'm glad about that because in my participations at K-State and Nebraska graduate student clubs, I remember being challenged to bring people in and listen to guest speakers or even to give the general update. So I congratulate you all for being involved. So I'm gonna present. I was able to see part of Dr. Gaurav's presentation, and we might, of course, overlap in some things here and there. The first thing I would like to start with an agenda. So I will talk a little bit about myself more in depth from what Giovanni just said on my presentation, because I think there are some things in my career path that I like to point out that made me. I like to call inflection points where you make big decisions. It's a crucial time on your career and life that I think it's important to share that. And then we'll dive in mostly on the graduate school phase, like how to get most of your grad school period, right? Talk about career goals, opportunities, collaborations, and networking. So like Giovanni said, I'm from Southern Brazil. I am from a family farm, okay? So since I was born, I would say my dad started a business. He's a retailer back in Rio Grande do Sul state in Brazil. I live very close to Argentina. I know you guys have a lot of Argentinians there, so you guys are my neighbors. You just crossed the bridge, you are in Argentina. So it's a place where we grow a lot of rice, irrigated rice, and we have also cattle. And so agriculture was, I would say, in my DNA since I was born, right? And was not hard for me to choose the agronomy path as I went to the capital of the state. That was the first big change in my life, like leaving my hometown to go to a big city and pursue a bachelor's degree in agronomy for 5 years, right? And during my undergrad, my goal was, hey, I need to have an international experience. And back in the day, I'm talking 15 years ago, when I was in my undergrad, I didn't know, well, it was not that common to go abroad, right? Very few people would go, just the top-notch students. And I was, man, how can I get this opportunity? I wanna go abroad and then come back and apply in Brazil, things that I learned in the US, Europe, whatever, that I would get. So in my last year of my undergrad, here is one of the components of my talk, networking, right? I networked a lot with people that went to US because I want to know the US agriculture. So I interact with these folks that were from my university or from other universities that I had the chance to meet. How can I go? I want to go to a farm. I want to operate my machinery and learn about wheat, corn, and soybeans, you know. So I got the chance to meet one guy that he came through the Ohio State program, and I contacted the host family that he was at the moment. So I did the opposite path. I contacted the host family first, and then I applied to Ohio State for the internship. So I had everything set. I really wanted this, so I did some things that were not supposed to be done, like contacting the family first. But it was a good deal. I mean, they received me very well. I had my chance to be in North Dakota for 1 year. It was an amazing experience. It changed my life, and it opened the first door. Well, not the first door, one of the main doors in my life, which was grad school in the US. And that's when I met Dr. Ruiz Diaz. I went to K-State, interviewed, and then he offered me the master's opportunity. So that's how I got to K-State, studying soil science. I was more on the fertility, as you guys are familiar with Dr. Ruiz Diaz's work. And then when I was at K-State, I did get involved with HSA, not as much as I would like, okay? but I would attend the meetings, I would attend the conferences. I was more like getting familiar of how grad school would be. And that's what I usually tell to master students. It's a time where you are understanding how this whole deal works. You understand what is how to write a paper, how to publish. You kind of get a very good idea of that. Some others are outstanding and like go way beyond and do what PhD would do. But in my case, I was more on that, like, hey, oh, this is a new world, you know, that kind of thing. So then when I reached the end, I will go back home and I will help my family. I think I got enough technical experience to work back home and help my family. But during my master's, I had a feeling, hey, maybe I want to go to PhD. I want to dive deeper on this research thing. I fall in love about it. So I applied to University of Nebraska-Lincoln, got a chance to come and do my PhD, working more on the cropping systems, which is something I worked more during my undergrad. And then from that moment on, I stayed in the US and I started exploring the opportunities that would come. Going back home was always an option, but also I always had in my mind going to the industry. Okay, so during my graduate school, I kind of I tried to prioritize opportunities that would lead me to an industry job. Okay, and that's my first question to you. And Dr. Gaurav already asked it. How many of you want industry career? And more important than that, what are you doing to make that dream happen? You know, those are some things that you need to ask yourself while you are there. What can you do to get closer to an industry job if that's your goal? And yeah, I ended up doing a postdoc, which was not on my plan, but I needed to. I was finishing my PhD. I didn't have any offer. So I went to the postdoc and my advisor knew, hey, I want to do the postdoc, but my goal is to go to industry. I will write my papers. I will do my duties. But just to let you know, if I get an offer, I might get out the door. And that's what happened. I could jump into Bayer 7 months after I started my postdoc and as a trainee, but I saw that as an opportunity to put my step in and get started with that career. Now, after a year as a trainee, I'm a learning center agronomist. I started a year ago. And also in the meantime, I joke that I have 2 jobs. I also have a job with AgroConnection where we host podcasts and videos. So that's a little bit about myself. And back to my question, what are you doing to pursue the career of your dream? And here I put in purpose this title. What can you do different than me in grad school? Because I didn't do that. I wish I would. So the first thing that I would advise you to do, and before I say what it is, how many of you have heard about career plan? Have you guys done any career plan in your life? I want to hear some thoughts there. Nothing? Nobody? Nobody did a career plan? So probably as a PhD student, maybe as a master's, but as a PhD student, you have to do I think it's called a program of studies where you're doing the master's, but in the PhD, I was asked to do like, hey, do a timeline of your program. Okay, so it's pretty much similar like that, but now we're talking about your whole career, right? So I was challenged by a manager at Bayer. He was my previous manager, and well, actually, he's the lead of my branch in Bayer. And he challenged myself. Hey, Alex, do you have a career plan? And then I said, what? What's a career plan? Well, your goals, what do you want to do next? Or how many years you want to stay in your position? What's your next position? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Okay, I haven't done that. Would you coach me on how to do it? So he gave me some good thoughts on that, and he shared me his career plan. I kind of tried to build myself into that sequence, right? So it's very simple in the end of the day. So it's your resume with your future steps. Okay, so you can start talking. Let's say you met someone like in a conference meeting, like you met a person that could be your future boss. Okay, how are you gonna interact with that person? I mean, you're gonna ask what he does or she does, or what he expects or she expects from you and things like that. But how do you sell yourself? How do you put in perspective, hey, this is what I do, this is my skills, this is what I can contribute to your team, this is where I want to reach in my career. So you can start, of course, bringing your resume to like a presentation like I'm showing here. Show your education, your talents. I advise you like do those personality tests, put on your resume so people get a better idea of who you are as well in terms of skills and abilities that you might have. Okay, but then of course, like I put in the beginning, put your career progression, like where you came, and see if you are actually going where you want to go. So you see your previous jobs, see if they somehow are building up, and it's okay if they don't, but try to pick up from each one, like what you learned most that you can apply to your future job. So in my example, like I had some industry experience, some commercial experience, some research. How can I bring that in to pursue my next step? What that can help on my next step? And then we get to what is a career goal look like. Today, I'm learning center agronomist here on the top corner here in the left. So in the short term, what do I want to do for the next 2-3 years? Well, in my case, I want to stay in the market development sector, which is where I am now. And I want to become like a protocol manager. I want to create protocols for sustainability trials. That's my goal for the next 2-3 years. That would be the job that I would like to have. Okay. Then you can set a medium-term goal. Like after you have that, oh, I wanna pursue leadership positions. I wanna manage people. You know, like become more like a manager. How can you get there? Then that would be a next step. But then you can also put some geography statements. Look, I prefer to stay in the Midwest, or I'm open to go anywhere in the country or even abroad. In my case, for my long term, which would be 2028, like 5-6 years from now, and your long term and my medium term might be different than mine. That's totally personal. But move back to Brazil and work for Bayer in Brazil, like as a market dev or sustainability, you know, things like that. Then you can also dive into development opportunities. How can you develop yourself as you move along in your career? Like what that job will offer you that you can learn and prepare you for next, you know? So increase leadership skills is something I want to do. Excel my technical skills in around sustainability, crop protection and trades. Gain business acumen knowledge. I mean, sometimes we are very focused on the research and technical aspects, but we need to remember in industry, you are representing a business. You ultimately need to train the salespeople so they can do their job, bring the money in, and everyone is happy, right? Improve my communication skills. That's something I consistently pursue because I think it's going to help me on my career path. So each one of you will have a different goal, a different skills to develop that you like, but it's important for you to actually put that in a slide, put that in the paper. So when you talk to key people and I have the key people here, you can put the ones that are helping you now, that helped you before, that can write you a reference letter, things like that. So when you talk to key people in a conference or in a call, you can have this ready and you are clear of what you want. Last thing you want to do is like someone asking you, oh, what's your aspiration? I don't know, I can do multiple things. So if you are vague, you might not get the opportunity you want, okay? Now, what can you do that is similar that I did? Some things that I did when I was in grad school that helped me a lot. I would say get involved, right? Dr. Gaurav also mentioned that, and you guys are already doing that by attending this meeting. You're getting involved. Sometimes, of course, involvement means like you really have to contribute. Sometimes you're going to be listening, but it's important that you get exposed to different experience in grad school. It also looks good in your resume. I know you're not paid extra to attend those things, but that's how it is. You're building skills. So in my case, during grad school, I was able to, at K-State, I did not have any role during the at the HSA. I was mostly attending the meetings, listening to talks. I got involved with the Brazilian Association at K-State, and then at UNL, when I went for my PhD, I decided, hey, I want to invest more in this. I want to put more time into volunteer and collaboration, because by that time I already had my master's. I already had the chance to go back home and work for a year. I kind of build up some knowledge where I need to do things more people oriented. So that was my goal by getting involved. I really wanted to network through those involvement opportunities, but also develop those skills like communication, leadership, and things like that. So anywhere from attending the meetings that you are, like joining a national association for graduate students, like the Agronomy Society of American Society of Agronomy has a lot of opportunities there. Few days that your advisor might be involved, you can volunteer. Hey, can I help on something there? Can I interact with the guests that will come? Can I be on the front desk or something that I can interact more with people? Teaching assistants, some of you probably are GTAs. I was not, but I wanted to have the experience to see if that would be something I would enjoy doing, like teaching. It was not for me, but might be different for you. It was a good experience for when I was at UNL. Judging, that's an easy one to do. They are always calling for judges, and judging posters is amazing. It's great. It's a great way to network. You might say, "Oh, I'm gonna interact with undergrads." Well, you always, when you start, you want to start with an undergrad, but at some point you're going to move and start judging graduate students when you are done, and those people might be your colleagues at some point. Review manuscripts, that's also another easy one that you can do. And then I think the others are all related to Graduate Student Association. And then now I'm during my time at Bayer, I'm trying to keep up with those things. My time is short for some of those opportunities. But I still feel like giving back to the students is something very rewarding for me. So I'm a volunteer for the Bayer and Compass Fellows, Golden Scholar, and I am part of some of advisory committee for masters and PhD and also undergrad. Collaborations, I have this slide here that I'm collaborating with K-State, with Dr. Charles Rice and Carlos Pires is part of this. We are doing this cover crop gardens across the states like Kansas, Nebraska. And that's just an example, like pursuing collaborations while you are in your grad school is very rewarding. You get to know, you get to have very close connections with faculty, which is very important. You always learn from people that are ahead of the game, right? And the faculties are ahead of the game, especially if you're looking for academia, but also the industry. They have a lot of knowledge. Dr. Gaurav was saying that they are entrepreneurs, and that's true. They have to get money, and you can learn a lot with that. You can write a proposal, like he said, like grants that are $5,000, $10,000. Don't look at the amount, but look at the reward that it can give you in terms of skills and also building up for a future job. And then networking. We always go back to networking. It's such an important skill and thing to keep doing every day. It's not, oh, I'm going to network at ASA meetings. No, you have to network now. When you are going to grab a coffee at 2002 is the room. Maybe I'm saying the number wrong. But anyways, when you go to the kitchen, you're always going to see someone, hey, how are you doing? What? Get to know people, you know. And those small opportunities that you have, get to know, because it was not only once or twice in my life that I interacted with random people in a coffee shop at K-State, for example, and that person would be friend of my friend, and then we had something in common that in the future could help us achieve something. So having those networking opportunities is great. Also, I want to add, if you are looking for industry careers, and I'm going to be done here in 5 minutes or less. If you're looking for industry careers and you are now in grad school, you can always find an industry component on your research project, right? Dr. Gaurav also mentioned about the grants with Meter, for example. Why not do something like that, like test an equipment or a product? And it doesn't need to be a key component of your research, but if you're using it, make sure you reach out to those folks that are related to that product. For example, I'm working with channel seeds. Who is the channel rep in my area that could come here and explain you what this product does that could affect my project? Small things like that, you can always be creative to increase your networking. What else? When you meet, when you meet people in conferences, shaking hands and exchange business cards, that's the bare minimum, I would say, that you can do, because what really is meaningful is you meet those people and then, okay, I met 20 different faculties or industry reps from all over the country who I think could help me in my next step. And you need to be selfish sometimes on that sense. Who can I keep talking to that can offer me some advantages? I'm not saying that you should ignore the others. I'm saying that pick 2 or 3 and follow up with them. Like, make sure you can start like, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation. I think we have a lot in common, and I would like to set up a meeting, 30 minutes of your time. And you can set 3 or 4 meetings a year. You can elect that person to be your mentor if you would like. And then have your career plan, have your resume in shape, so you can discuss those things. With the Bear and Compass Scholar or Fellows, I'm having a students from Texas, and we've been going through all those steps, like how do you build a resume, how you make a nice presentation, an engaging presentation, how can you make a career plan and things like that. These people that attend the meetings, especially, they are there to connect with you and learn what you do, and they are also looking for talent. So take advantage of that. What else? I guess I pretty much covered what I wanted to say. I want to open for you guys going to open for questions, but yeah, network, collaborate, have your career plan, and also have fun, because this is one of the best times of your career is being a grad student. I mean, enjoy the opportunities that you have there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we are a little bit over time, but we will open for questions for Dr. Alexandre and Dr. Jha. If anyone have questions, feel free to make it. Carlos?
I have a question for both. So Dr. Jha was New Mexico, Davis, Montana, K-State. Am I missing one?
I think you covered.
Yeah. So Alex was Kansas, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. So what were the challenges when you were transitioning from one university to another for could be master to PhD, PhD to postdoc, postdoc to faculty? How was that transition, making new friends, opening new doors? Did you get tired at some point of having to restart every time? So how was that for you?
Not really. I mean, I love traveling. But yeah, it was very nerve-wracking. Like, and I think most of you would be going through that feeling, like, what next? Like, what am I gonna do? I'll graduate. When am I gonna get the job? Am I gonna get postdoc? I was looking for like alternative. What if I don't get a postdoc here? Shall I apply for Canada? Shall I go to Australia? Shall I just go back to India and like try for faculty positions? You never know. But at the end of the day, it all falls in place. So it is stressful to move from one place to another, planning about next step. But I mean, that's exciting. I have made some really good friends. I had friendship families whom I still am in touch with in New Mexico. I visited New Mexico right before starting, did a road trip and with my friends. And yeah, it has been good. Like my lab I think every lab has taught me something. UC Davis, we had like individual one-on-one meeting for research discussions with my advisor, but something that I learned there was kind of in that group meetings, we would discuss about the mental health. So our discussions would mostly be pertinent to like it was like Black Lives Matter issues at the time. So we were discussing about diversity and resources that are available for people to cover those things. And that's what I want to gauge my students into it. So I think every step teaches you something. I think all of these, in my experience, I just gathered good experiences, good people, like the person that I want to become and the lab that I want to build up. So it's just totally, it was exciting. One time I was too harsh with the cold. So I think that was the most difficult part. Otherwise, I enjoyed. I mean, these were one of the most, I mean, they are all beautiful places, amazing people I have met in my life.
Chandra, you wanna go for that?
Yeah, no, I would just compliment because I agree with everything that Dr. Gaurav said. I love the challenge as well. And well, for us, there are internationals coming abroad. Once you break that barrier, I think you fall in love with challenge. I hate moving. I have to say that I hate moving, like all my furniture and stuff, but I like the change of, if I ask you, what's the best, what and when is the best version of yourself? Probably now, right? Probably now you're the best version of yourself in your entire life. So if you go to your next phase, you start fresh with the best version of yourself. So that's a good way to see the change. You are going to somewhere and you are having a chance to build up from where you are, like a good person. You're always going to be evolving, but you are now better prepared for your next chapter.
I think negotiate for a good relocation amount.
True.
Any other questions? No, I do have a question actually. So one of you is on industry, one of you on an academia, like very different one. So I guess my question is, a lot of students, when I started to do a PhD, they are not sure on which path they go. So for those students that are not sure, what would be your advice? And in your experience, when was the time or the break point that you say, I wanted to go to academia, on Alexander case, I wanted to go to industry?
I could go first, but so I think one of the things what I learned is I think it was good for me. I knew I wanted to go to academia, but my industry job was more keen, like with my collaboration with New Mexico Environment Department. That's who referred me to the industry job, and that's how I went into it. When it came, I was dwindling. So it's good not to know what you want to do yet. Like if you're in early phases, if you know what you want to do, you're just being mechanical towards your goal. It's good to plan things in advance. I wouldn't say don't wait until the last year, but if it's your first year or second year, it's good to navigate the pros and cons of it. Also, what kind of a person you are, like, would you enjoy the academic environment or not? There are like good pros. It's very satisfying to do. It's very like straining. Do you like a time-bounded job, or do you want to define your own time limits to work? In academia, one thing I would say, if you do not define your time boundaries, you're just working 24/7. So you have to cut off. Work would never stop. There will be one grant done, second would come, or other publications. So that boundary is important. I think for me, when I worked in industry, I felt like I did not enjoy that part. And this is person to person, this varies. You would feel the same thing if you come to the academic position. So I think it's the good time is interact like to all the people who says good things and bad things about academia, and make your own choice.
Yeah, I think I was in that spot, I guess, when during my PhD, at some point I considered an academia position, because when I was on my undergrad and master's, I always thought about the industry. And then at some point in my PhD, even though I said that I was trying to pursue skills that would help me with industry, you always have that question like, oh, what if I go to academia? I mean, you start writing papers, you start communicating your research, you fall in love. Why not continue doing this? It's working. I mean, but I think in my case, since I decided very early, it kind of came to me easier in that aspect. And I would say, if you don't know exactly where you want to go yet, it's completely fine. I mean, attending those those meetings, national meetings with ASA, looking for the opportunities that you can network with both people, like people from industry and people from academia, and understand like Dr. Gaurav was saying, the odds or things that you don't like and things that you would enjoy in each job position. I particularly like the flexibility in time that industry offers. We don't have as much flexibility as a PI in academia would have to create, but still I have a lot of freedom to create stuff. I just need to remember, hey, I'm representing a business, so I cannot go ahead and do anything. I mean, I need to be very responsible in terms of the connections and also the projects that I can help with, right? But you do have a lot of flexibility in industry still. And what you can do, honestly, if you consider industry, you can always go and work for a little bit and then come back to academia. Usually the opposite also works. Like, you can start in academia, and if you don't like, you go back to industry. There is not a definitive path. Like, you can always change. You always have room to pursue a different path. It's completely fine to don't know exactly where you want to go, but make the career plan, so it will help you decide where you go.
Other questions? Friends?
I have a stupid question, because I saw that you live in California and now you are here. If you can say about the city or what you prefer to live, because I guess this is a thing that you should decide also where you want to live, like in a cold place, die in prison, or in a hot place.
Definitely not Montana. I'm not a cold cold weather person. I like the weather here. I like how it was day before yesterday, right? Yeah. I love being out in the field and not having snow. I love sampling where I don't have to break the ice pack. And driving, especially. I was literally going to hit the students on my first day of job in Montana on campus. And I don't know, like, luckily my car stopped right at the edge. And I just freaked out. I started like Ubering to the campus after that until the snow happened. So that was a challenge for California. I really liked the diversity that it offered, but I was really skeptical to come to Manhattan. Believe me, I was not sure if I should accept this job or not. But I did, and I'm so happy I did. Like, campus has so much diversity to offer, so many great groups of people to meet around. For like new faculty, they have great resource for New Faculty Institute, and I don't know if you're part of CATS Connect or something they're doing. That is something you need to do if you're not. Like, look into CATS Connect. It's a mix of like faculty, staff. You all are staff here, so that's something, people outside you would not see any people sitting in the room other than yourself and all the other people from the campus. And it's good to connect and know. So they have it for faculty as well. So I think I'm liking Manhattan a lot. For Davis, I do miss my lab because I learned a lot about non-research things there too. Really beautiful. But yeah.
Great. Other question? Yep, Alexandre.
I was just going to compliment, like, I was really happy in Manhattan, in Lincoln, in Madison, Brazil. I think it's all about your community, like how you interact with people, like building your circle of friends, that you're going to be welcome any place if you can build your community, I think it's all about people. You can live in the most cold place, and if you have friends, you're happy. Or if you live by the beach and you are alone, you're not going to be happy, and things like that. Of course, we need to, especially early career, we don't get to choose much where you're going to live. You go where the opportunity is at, right? So, but remember, you can always build your community and be happy anywhere in the world, I would guess. And just to complement Carlos' questions about changing university, I was very skeptical, Carlos, to change. I was insecure, but in the end of the day, like I always saw as a fresh start and a way to broaden my connections and networking. You know, I thought that by looking for an industry job, as if I could meet as much people and have more exposure to experience, it would help me to an industry job, especially now. Like, let's say if my next step is to move to another, like to Arizona, for example, I will be up to. I already lived in 7 different places, so I have no problem going there. If you are always in the same spot, maybe you start building too much that feeling of home, and then it's get harder for you to move out. So that's just a perspective, but thank you.
Okay. So if we don't have any other questions, we will adjourn the meeting with the time.
This was great to know everyone. I was waiting to meet graduate students because often I walk around you and I don't even know your like name or department. So hopefully I get to know more people as I settle down here. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex. Everyone. Alex,
Thanks.
don't
No,
forget
Fine.
time. Sheet if you haven't do it yet. So, Alex, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. No, it was good. I'm really happy. Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Bye bye.